Should you start a podcast, especially in Japan?
The most important thing actually is
シンガポールの友達があなたはブラジル人だし日本人両方だよって言ってくれたからアイデンティティが分かった。
I wanted to fail as much as I can.
The reason why I started a podcast is very different from others. I thought that it's a good way to
Me no hablo español. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Passion Project Japan. I'm Theo,
and this is Gia.
and today we have two special guests. Our first 4 people episode. We have Reina and Alice.
Hello guys, nice to meet
Do
you.
you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Right, so my name is Alice and I'm currently living in London, and I just finished the internship and then I'm visiting Japan to see my family and my friends, and now we came here as in Sui podcast that we are currently doing, and that's it. Thank you.
English ですね。Hi, my name is Reina. I'm from Japan, a mix of Japan and Brazil, and I'm a student now. Also, I'm CEO of my company, and I'm translator of law office.
So we just recorded an episode with Sui, which is their podcast, which stands for Speak Up For Yourself.
Yeah.
So if you want to see Gia and I struggle in Japanese, please head over to Sui's podcast. We'll link it down below. And you can hear us talk about many different things, especially about women, workplace and work environment in our own countries. Yeah.
You guys gonna see we are struggling to speak in English.
So the roles are reversed now. That's okay. It's completely fine if you guys want to mix English and Japanese.
Japanese, yeah.
I think most of our audience, they understand at least Japanese a little bit. Yeah. So
We can make subtitles too. It's just hard work for Theo, I guess.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the big question, you wanna introduce the big question for today?
The big question for today is, I guess, should you start a podcast, especially in Japan? Because I mean, we are all doing podcasts, right? It's just a different topic, but like I wanted to know the process of why we, decide to start a podcast, what kind of topic you are interested in, and why do you think podcast is the best way to deliver those topics, right? So
Why did you all start a podcast?
So why did we start podcast? So we started our podcast in 2021.
22.
22 was it?
Oh no.
22. 22. So
Was it during Corona or?
I think it was during Corona, wasn't it?
そうね、終わりかけの。
And we started our lifestyle brand first. It's called Rua. We upcycle clothes with Japanese indigo dye. But after we created the business, started our business, we thought like we want to do different thing as well, which is we want to inspire Japanese women, empower Japanese women, because we both have a background in abroad. I studied in UK, and she's mix of Brazil and Japan. So, and then we found out that Japanese women are not tend to not express their feelings or opinions. So we wanted them to talk more, speak up more. So that's why we decided to start our podcast called Speak Up For Yourself. So our target audience is for Japanese women, and we want to encourage them to speak up their opinions and stuff. Yeah, that's why we started podcast.
Hey there. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please do so.
One thing that I thought was really interesting is that you guys created a podcast with a very specific social issue in mind. In Japan, of course, there's always this discussion about, gender in the workplace or just like the gender hierarchy in Japan, where for the longest time, there was some issues with like gender equality in Japan. I think that's pretty clear for everybody who knows a little bit about Japanese society. So why do you all decide that the podcast was the best way for you to encourage people to speak up for themselves?
Why?
Yeah. Why not like a YouTube channel or like a blog?
Instagram or
Oh,
blog, yeah. that's true.
Instagram. I mean, we are talking that we want to we are doing Instagram as well, but I think we decided to do the podcast because what was the reason?
日本語で言ってもいい？
大丈夫です。
なんか本当は YouTube もノートっていうブログみたいなのも、インスタも全部なんか同時に始めたんだけど私たちが他のビジネスやりながら続けるためには一個に集中して私たちの続けられる方法をやろうって言って最終的にそのポッドキャストとそれをたまにというかインスタグラムに載せるっていうのが一番やりやすいやり方だったからやってるっていうか今でも続いてるのがポッドキャストだった、だしその音声で伝えるってまあ流行ってたのもあったし今この来てるよねみたいな、ポッドキャスト来てるよねみたいなだから私たちもやっちゃうっていうノリで始めた
Yeah.
なんかもっと、and also like I think it's like it's easy for I don't know how to say like I feel like when I listen podcasts I can focus on what they are talking and like I don't know like they
just no need to like care about anything else except their voice.
Like we can inspire them like directly, you know. But that's how I feel.
That's true. I think there's a special charm
into a podcast
where you're directly in their ear, right? So of course, if you're watching a YouTube channel, there's also like a million other things on the YouTube. You know, there's like ads that will play or like there's something going on. But if you're listening to them on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you're going about washing dishes or going to the gym, but then you're hearing this direct voice in your ear, I think you can really inspire someone or really speak to someone.
Speak to someone, yeah. That's what I wanted
that's
to say.
true too, yeah. Because we had a friend as well, right? And one of my close friends. She said that I usually listen to your podcast before going to sleep. And I thought at first it was very funny, but then I realized that it's actually a good way for her to learn something or like to consume a media that doesn't require too much work. Right? Because for example, if you watch YouTube then you still have to focus on watching YouTube or it has to be eyes and ears, whereas podcast you can, as you said, like doing gym, washing out, or I mean like you can multitask.
You can do many different things.
Definitely
For
multitasking.
podcasts, right?
So you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, I do. I love listening podcasts.
Like what kind of podcasts do you listen?
I think mainly I listen like language talk. Like I'm learning Spanish right now.
Oh,
so
you listen to Spanish podcast?
I listen to Spanish podcast.
Wow.
And
Me no
also,
hablo español.
and I like British accent. That's the one of the reason I went to UK. So I hear lots of British podcasts.
Reina, do you listen to podcasts?
私も聞いてて私は日本のポッドキャストがちょっと多いんだけど、好きなのは経営中毒っていう経営者の悩みとか事実を話すポッドキャストとか、あとは古典ラジオっていう歴史を話すポッドキャストを耳で歴史を勉強してます。
Wow. Like 日本の歴史？
日本の歴史もあるし世界の歴史もあるしお金の歴史とか面白いのがいっぱいあります。
Well, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. So my major is Japanese cultural studies, 日本文化. Yeah, but my semon is rekishi, like 日本の歴史. Yeah, so I probably should check that out.
Yeah.
Listen to that. I know you don't really listen to podcasts, right?
I don't really listen to podcasts. The reason why I started a podcast is very different from maybe others. I asked you to start this with me because I thought that it's a good way to network or a good way to have a conversation with someone who are really experienced or skilled in a certain like industry. And usually if you ask them out for a coffee or like a meeting, probably they won't be able to do so. But if you invite them on a podcast, usually they would be very interested in joining.
Wow, that's
So
interesting.
that's my thought.
Yeah.
And then that's when I actually started to listen to more podcasts. Before that, I think the podcast I listened to was to learn Japanese. Yeah, it was called like a Japanese Daily Conversation. So this guy, he just talk about, today the weather is really nice, what I'm doing today, everything in like Kantan Nihongo. So that's how I practice learning Japanese as well.
That's true. I think I also listen to some Japanese podcasts, like podcasts that it's specifically to learn Japanese, but it's kind of boring. Like the topic, like the topic is like, today, thank you, Aine. And I'm like, bro, why am I listening to this, right? I want to like learn something.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe,
definitely true.
I'll listen to the history one because that's kind of interesting. And then I guess you're learning something, but also kind of practicing your listening skills. Ne? Yeah. For me, I listen to a lot of like business podcasts. Yeah. So My First Million is the podcast that I really enjoy. I love. Like seriously, it's so good. And also, I guess one of the first few podcasts I listened to is this podcast called Trash Taste. Trash Taste.
Trash taste.
Gomi no aji. but as in, so I can't believe I translated trash. So there are like 3 YouTubers. So they were talking about life in Japan. And they kind of started it when I moved to Japan. So they were talking about life in Japan, and I was like, oh wow, it's very relatable. So that's when I started listening to them, and that's when I started getting more and more into like podcasts. Because there's something about listening to somebody talk about an experience you already have that makes you, I don't know, connect with them on like a deeper level. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And so, but you guys have, for Sui, you guys are mostly online because at least you are in the UK, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So did it start online or did it just kind of happen?
I think we were doing both when I was living in Japan. But yeah, I mean like ほとんど online.
Then do you guys do interviews as well? Or mostly just between both of you?
Yeah, we did. We invited a few guests, like 4 or 5 guests before. But yes, I think in general we do just talk together, the two of us to talk together. And about news that we found interesting or something that happened in our daily life. It's just chill stuff.
Yeah. I found the conversation between us was like, I found it very interesting because it was a chance for me to practice Japanese, and it was for me, it was an interesting topic because I see a lot of, because we were talking about women empowerment, and I see a lot of differences among countries, how women are represented or how women are treated in different society and different culture. So yeah, it was a good experience for me because I was never invited in a podcast ever. I only invite people.
I see.
Oh yeah, this is your first time as a podcast
Actually,
guest.
yeah.
Usually you're the podcast host.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're first time.
Oh, as a podcast guest as well? Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, do you guys plan for, like, because you say that you look up like news and everything. So how much do you guys plan beforehand? Like what you guys want to talk?
To be honest, we don't plan at all. So we just we start the Zoom meeting and then we talking did you find any interesting topic or something? And then I found some nice news topic about empowerment. Oh, let's talk about this. Recording.
Oh, so it's very impromptu. You guys don't have like a
no script.
topic schedule or anything.
No schedule. I mean, we tried, I think.
最初の方はやったんだけどうまくいかないからまあいっかって
Yeah.
You guys have been doing this for like 2 years?
to
Correct? Ni-
one
ni-
and a
ni-
half.
1.5 years. Yeah. And it's how often do you guys do it? Once every week?
Once every week, yeah.
Yeah. Output. Sugoi.
Yeah, very
How about
consistent.
you guys?
We
Do you
do
plan, or how often do you?
We try to plan, but it's also because we have to kind of tailor into like the guest schedule. So, but generally we try to put it once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we do. We have been doing once every 2 weeks for the last 6 months. Yeah. So because ours is also a video podcast, so
That's right.
video podcast takes a lot more editing time.
Yes.
Yeah. And the files are pretty big, so it really is quite a while to edit everything. Yeah. And also because I guess our main for Passion Project Japan, we mainly do guest interview. Yeah. As our core kind of feature of the podcast. So we have to plan in advance like a question list or at least the general topic that we want to talk about with our guest. Yeah. Especially we have a lot of guests who are very interesting. For example, like Sean, who is an English teacher. He also does like screenwriting. So we kind of have to like decide, okay, which one do we want to talk more about, right?
Right. So in the first place, it was more like bada bada like everywhere. But then we realized that maybe it's better to prepare beforehand what kind of topic we want to talk or discuss with our guests. So the process is usually having an onboarding meeting with the guests, and then see if they kind of like fit our theme or not, and then schedule a meeting with schedule a recording, and then send them a question list so that they can prepare beforehand, and then start the recording.
All right.
And then Theo's going to edit the video,
Yeah.
and that process take around
4 to 5
4
hours.
to 5 hours.
Yeah, in total.
Editing.
Yeah.
editing.
Editing.
4 to 5
Yeah,
hours.
because
Yeah.
each recording is about an hour,
Okay.
and then the episodes usually are 40 minutes. So I have to kind of edit out like 20 minutes or to keep it like kind of succinct or like short. Yeah, and then after that there's the editing, and then at the start of every episode we also have like a trailer, a little like 15-20 seconds. So I have to edit out that part so that it's like a hook, so people watch. I guess for us we kind of treat this like more like a YouTube video kind of thing than just podcast. Yeah, so it's just a different way to look at it, I guess.
We also have videos or like podcasts where we discuss among ourselves a certain topic or playing certain games, right?
Yeah.
Just for a way for us to practice our hosting skill
Oh, wow.
and try to find what are like the how to say the popular topics for like YouTube channel in general.
Yeah. There's actually one thing I want to try, which you guys did, and I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. You guys did an Instagram live podcast. Yeah, sure?
Yeah.
For Takeoff Tokyo.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Why do y'all decide to do like on Insta Live?
I mean, it was
本当は毎週月曜日載せないといけないんだけど、レコーディング忘れてて
Oh, okay.
ね、インスタグラムやるみたいな、いいねって言って友達の家にいて可愛い猫もいたし、やっちゃうって言って始めたみたいな、結構適当な
結構適当ですね。Our message is really like strong and deep, but
そう
the way we do is
そのラフさが
ラフ
いいみたいですけどね、
はい
多分
So yeah, just because you forgot to record a video,
But it was good.
an audio.
Good one, wasn't it?
Must be
Like,
good.
yeah, we got a lot of comments and
そうだね。なんかいつも多分
Reviews
ポッドキャスト聞いてくれてない人というか聞く機会がなかった人がインスタグラムで見てくれたりして、あ、こういうこと話してるんだとかこういう風に話してるんだって知ってくれたから、やっぱ SNS に出すの大事だなって思いました。
how do you guys like your Instagram and YouTube is really like I think you just started 6 months ago, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's growing so fast. Like, do you guys have strategy for that?
Strategy. Yeah.
I mean, you guys maybe don't want to talk
No,
about
no, 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 no. We do. So, as in our strategy, is basically because we do video podcast. So we cut the clips from the long podcast into shorter clips. So the goal is that we want people to look at those shorts, and then if they're interested, then they will lead to the main
Right.
YouTube episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we also think that we are trying to do different kind of content on our Instagram. So actually, a lot of our followers recently came from the street interview.
Street interview.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sumimasen, and then
Yeah. What do you do
That's
for a
kind of-
living? What's your dream? Those kind of questions. Recently, those videos receive a lot of attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually outside of our main podcast episodes.
That's very interesting.
And I guess also because like we do a lot of like guest episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing about guest episodes is that we can also tap on the following of our guest, right? Because they will also want to share that, hey guys, I did this episode with Passion Project Japan, and a lot of people found us out through
To-
our guests posting or sharing on their social media. Yeah, so that's one way that we've also, I guess, grown.
Yeah. You know, in the Takeoff Tokyo, you were doing interviewing, right? And actually, we got really inspired, and that we're thinking like, we want to do an interview. Like maybe we can do interview to London girls. For in Japan, maybe she can interview to
In Portuguese or maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like maybe we can somehow inspire Japanese women. But like I have a question that you guys host this podcast and invite a lot of guests, right? How do you like that's kind of one of my recent problem that I want to learn is like how do you came up the nice question, like how do you
確かに。
True. We did a lot of research beforehand, right? Like we kind of look into the bio of our guests, seeing what they've been doing, and especially we had an onboarding interview beforehand, right? So we also asked them, what kind of topic do you want us to focus on, or do you have a very specific discussion that we want to share during the podcast? So that's how we can tailor or like narrow down the questions we want to ask the guest.
okay.
Yeah, right.
I think so. Maybe because we sent you guys a question list, also like a short one on Instagram, but definitely we are not following the question list anymore.
Yeah.
And for most of our guest episodes, it's actually like that. So we prepare a bunch of questions, we send them, but we tell them like the moment the camera starts rolling and you start talking, naturally we have like questions that are off the script that we just kind of want to ask you because we are just naturally curious. Yeah, so we want to know. But I guess it comes a lot from doing research beforehand.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
having an idea of like what is the main kind of topic or story that we want them to tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about street interview? Like, is there something that you are, caring when you ask question to someone?
一人でできるもんですか？
Well, I think it's a bit difficult because we've also just started street
Yeah,
interview.
true.
Like we are super new to like street interviews.
Yeah.
And our questions are very basic. It's like, what do you do for a living? What's your dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can like say for sure, but I think for street interviews, I would say like the most important thing actually is editing. Because,
Editing
yeah,
is important.
Like for example, like one of the recent reels is like interviewing this guy from the CEO of Boxu, and
yeah, I saw it.
Jimmy from Moon Creative Lab, Kohei from Copy & Co, Danny from Boxu. So they actually have longer answers,
Okay.
but to make it like kind of smooth, I had to really edit to make sure that it flows well. Yeah. So you cannot control how people are gonna talk about what people are gonna talk about
Okay.
in the street interview, and it's supposed to be shorter. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah. And I also told Theo to start with something that has been quite famous online recently, because the question of what do you do for a living is not new anymore. And we saw a lot of famous video online, especially on TikTok. They just run around, especially in New York, like US. They just ask, oh, what do you do for a living? Can I see your flat?
Yeah, can you say a brand?
Can I see your founder?
I know. Hey, how much is your car? Those kind of
Domestic
questions that are
rent,
famous or popular. So we kind of adapt it into like a Japanese context to see how well people receive it.
Okay.
And it's been quite
Yeah.
going quite well. Yeah.
History interview is pretty good. Do you all know Anonymous?
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the street photographer,
Mm.
right? And then he does street photography, but he's also actually just doing street interview. And then at the end, he just does street photography. So there's also a very interesting kind of concept or
Okay.
way to do. So I think it's just finding something that works for you.
Interesting. You said you adapt to Japanese context, right? How do you do that? What does it mean by, adapting?
Yeah. I guess the first one was like Sumiwa said, right?
Ah,
Like starting with the
be
question.
bright.
So they know
Okay.
that we're asking in Japan.
Mm.
Yeah. What else?
Japanese context? Actually, I'm not sure. I feel like we just Gaijin smash our
Yeah.
Do you all know Gaijin smash?
Gaijin smash?
smash?
No.
Gaijin smash is a word that we say when we ignore like Japanese rules.
Okay.
For example, we're making a lot of noise, and then
Mhm.
like, people like give us a look, and we just say, oh, we Gaijin smash.
It's the word in English
Oh, it's something that we
recently.
So-
You guys?
like
Maybe just you. I don't
yeah,
know.
I swear people know Gaijin smash. Maybe it's like
Okay.
I learned it from my senpai in work.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because he's Japanese, but then he lived in America, so he has an American accent. So he told me that one day he was making a lot of noise in the train. Then the bus, he just like, then he just like, oh,
Gaijin
can't-
smash.
yeah. Then he just pretend to be Gaijin. He's like,
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Gaijin smash or Gaijin card. Because
yeah.
sometimes
Gaijin card.
yeah. In a sense that like, for example, usually Japanese people, they don't really eat out, right? Like when they go, like they walk, they don't really eat like this.
on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't buy onigiri. and just-
Tabearuki?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
tabearuki.
yeah.
Only like festivals.
Yeah.
So whenever we like international students hanging out together and then saying, "Oh, are you sure you want to walk and eat at the same time because Japanese people don't do this?" I'm like, I'm Gaijin. So
外人だからいいでしょって。
yeah,
面白い。
those kind of thing. Yeah.
You don't really care. Because Reina, you grew up in Brazil, right?
I'm born
born in Japan.
Japan, raised in Japan.
Oh, but then you moved to Brazil for how long?
I lived 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
だいたい2年弱ぐらい住みました。
Do you find it like difficult when you were from Japan to Brazil? I'm not sure about like how different the culture is actually.
全部違うので結構カルチャーショックはすごかったけど、ブラジルに行って本当の私をちょっと見つけて帰ってきた
Oh,
感じがする。だから日本に行った時よりもブラジルに行ってブラジルでブラジル人の私に出会って、でも日本に帰ってくるとブラジル人とかハーフって言われて、ブラジル行くと日本人って言われてたんだけど、シンガポールにそれこそ住んで、その後に
Yeah.
その時にシンガポールの友達があなたはブラジル人だし日本人両方だよって言ってくれたからアイデンティティが分かった。両方私っていう。
Oh,
すごい
wow,
シン
that's
ガ
so
ポールは
interesting.
私にとって大事な国。
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I.
You found yourself
そうそうそう。
when you
Yeah.
live in other countries. Wow.
That's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Singapore is a pretty good place for that, right? Because it's
That's very
so
good.
many ethnicities,
Yeah, different
countries,
cultures.
identities. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, interesting because our guest, Aya, she was also living in Singapore, and she said she also
right.
found her passion, which is working in theater in Singapore. Right? So maybe it's like a hub for you to find yourself.
Moral of the story: do a ryugaku in Singapore for 1 year. Guys, we are upping up our short form content game this year, so if you don't want to miss that out, please follow us at Passion Project JP on Instagram and TikTok. Exclusive content just for you guys.
So for Alice, do you have any plan to come back to Japan in the future?
In the future, yes, I have. So I want to come back in Japan when I turn 30.
Oh, wow, so specific. Yeah.
I mean, like maybe it's gonna change, but like I want to give a birth around that age. So, as we talk in Sweet podcast, we in Japan we get help from mother to raise child. So I want to get help from my mom when I raise my kids. So I want to come back here and then live maybe 5 years and then go to another country maybe.
Oh wow. So
Traveler.
international. Reina, do you think you ever go back to Brazil?
Go back to Brazil just for carnival.
Oh,
パーティーだったら行きたい。
yeah, the festivals are crazy. The party looks so
Very
fun.
good だよ。
Yeah.
So for living, actually not, because it's very dangerous and no work, dangerous.
Right.
And yeah, food I like. いいけどそうだね。
The Brazilian, what do you call it? The barbecue?
バーベキュー
Yeah.
ですね、バーベキュー。シュハスコとか美味しい。
Ah, yeah, churrasco.
So
Yeah,
churrasco.
so nice. Yeah. There's a lot of good churrasco places here in Aichi. In
Really?
yeah, there's a lot of.
シュラスコいっぱいある
I
ね。
never had Brazilian food before.
行こ
Oh,
う。
really?
Yeah. Never.
I think Aichi has the biggest population of Brazilian
So
Oh,
for
yeah.
Brazilian in Japan. Yes, yeah. That's why a lot of the emergency signs are also in Portuguese. Yeah, the evacuation signs.
そうなの
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
聞い
yeah.
たことなかっ
So you guys are also kind of the CEO of your own business. You guys are business owners
た。
besides doing your podcast, right? So just kind of curious, what is like the business about, and how do you all even start that?
Yeah, so we have so our company is called Life Design Studio, and she's the CEO of the Life Design Studio. I'm COO.
すごいね。
Yeah, and we got 3 businesses, and one
Three.
one is coaching. So she's a life coach, and I won't do that, life coaching, but she's doing like how do you want to explain by yourself?
日本語でいい
いや日本語でいい
いいですいいですライフコーチングは、今女性に向けて、フォーカスしていて、起業をしたいと思ってるとか自分を変えたいとか自立して自分で生きていきたいと思ってる、自由になりたいと思ってる女性たちのためにそのラテン式コーチングって言ってるんですけど、ブラジルの考え方を使ったコーチングをしてて、でそのコーチングの種類としてはその私のオリジナルのブラジルのラテン式コーチングとその紙に書くジャーナリングをいっぱいしてもらう、なんかワークとそのブラジルのそのラテン式コーチングをミックスして今そういう女性に向けてコーチングしてます。
That's so interesting. Yeah.
So coaching for women about like finding like making a business or like finding yourself or something related to like a Latin
No, but using the
Mindset.
Mindset.
Latin
Yeah,
mindset.
mindset.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. And you came up with this yourself, right?
そうです、
Damn, original coaching
Original.
you cannot find anywhere else. Yeah. So that's the first business.
Yeah,
First business.
that's the
First
first
Okay.
one. And the second one is, as I said before, we are upcycling clothes with Japanese indigo dye, which I'm wearing today, and she's wearing socks.
Oh, so that's also from
そ
the.
うそう
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
イメージ
Yes.
So and your jacket and the.
Yeah, and jacket and this scarf is, yes. So we upcycle clothes and then dye with indigo dye. We do the indigo dye, and currently we are selling to London in the London market.
Ooh.
Yes.
So then how do you bring it over? You ship it from.
I mean, so we do we say aizome, the Japanese indigo dye. We do aizome in Reina's grandpa's house.
Yes.
Oh, so cute.
Yes, it's in Aichi, the little town. Is it?
タウンっていうのかな村、
Mm-hmm.
あー
飛島村っていうすごいちっちゃな村
Wow.
でおじいちゃんの家で染めて
Yes.
で半分私半分アリスが持ってアリスがロンドンでそれを、売ってというか、なんか
Well, yeah, but we do the Aizome in London as well. We had a workshop last year in November. And
November, okay.
yes, and then we did a workshop and we sold in there, and yeah, that's what we are
まだ
doing.
始まったばっかり
Yes, we just started, so we're figuring out still, but
What made you want to do that? though?
Yeah.
Aizome.
yeah.
It's a very traditional.
So where should we start? It's a kind of long
そうね
story.
私が盆栽が趣味で、盆栽やり始めて、その盆栽のこの器も楽しいなと思ってろくろやって、でろくろやった後にまあ一緒に畳とかのワークショップ行って、じゃあ藍染めもやってみようかって言って、日本のその文化を知るためにそのワークショップにいろいろ参加して、その中でなんか藍染め結構面白かったんだよね。まあろくろも楽しかったし全部楽しかったんだけど、なんか日本に貢献したいとか日本のいいところをもっと日本人に伝えたいと思って、どうしたら伝えれるかなみたいな、なんかやるみたいな、ブランドやるみたいな感じになって、で私ももともとそのアパレルやりたかった、ずっとコーチングじゃなくて本当はビキニのビジネスを始めようとしてたんだけど、ビキニのマーケットが日本だと小さすぎるからやめて諦めてたけど、まあ、コーチングしてその後やっぱアパレルやりたいなと思ってる時に、そのインスタグラムで誰かアパレルできそうな人いないですかみたいなあげたのストーリーで、そしたらアリスと私の知り合いがここ2人いいんじゃないって言ってくれて、友達になって話したら、じゃあアリスはその作るとかね、その服縫ったりもできるし、なんか一緒にやってみるって言って一緒にワークショップ、さっきのワークショップいろいろやって、なんか私たち今できそうなことなんだろうって考えた時に藍染めが一番なんかフィットしたから今も藍染めでとりあえずやってみるみたいな、うまくいかなかったら違うことするんですけど、
Yes. So how thing like main initial thing like passion was she want to tell like Japanese culture to abroad, and my passion was like I'm interested in environmental problem, especially in apparel in the clothes industry. So that's the reason why we decided to do the aizome, which is Japanese traditional thing, and then we upcycle because I have a passion to the upcycling and sustainability. So that's why we are doing this business.
ね、これも
mix ね。
もともと私のピンクのシャツだったんだけど、
うん
ザラの、
Oh,
Yeah, that was
wow.
pink before.
でここら辺に大きいシミがついてて取れなかったの、洗っても。なので藍染めしてアップサイクルして今も使ってるんだけど、ちょっとなんか私たちも職人じゃないので適当に染めたらこうやって柄ができ
Oh,
ちゃう。
yeah, it's a very interesting pattern.
Yeah,
で
it's
も
a
こ
nice
れが
pattern.
逆に可愛いってなって、
Yeah.
今でもこれ使ってます。
Our concept is imperfect beauty.
Whoa.
So like it kind of connects to this is imperfect but it's still beautiful. So that's the message we want to tell to people.
Yeah, I support because I support sustainability. So I also really like clothes that are unique because if you go to like how to say Uniqlo or Zara, usually you would find like nice clothes but it's not unique. A lot of people will wear it more or less, so I can be a customer, I guess.
Oh,
Or you can be the exporter to Vietnam market.
Oh, great.
Exactly, yes.
yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
that was second one. I think.
ガ
yeah,
スね
that's so interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the third one, I guess, the podcast.
Yes, the third one is a podcast. We want to make a media. Like we want, like currently we are doing podcasts to tell the message that I told before, but in the future maybe we are planning to that we want to start a magazine, like something like we can inspire people. Yes, that's
No, that's amazing. Yeah, you guys are doing so many different projects,
so many. Yeah.
which is exactly what this podcast is about, right? We also want to inspire people to to just try different things. And I think a lot of people will be inspired by you guys to just try. And I think that they're all kind of linked as well. Don't you think? Yeah, the life coaching and then even the sustainability business and the podcast. There's all like a common kind of theme of empowerment.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, like empowerment or like promoting the culture of a country, whether it be Japan or Brazil. So that's the second theme that I can find in like these three businesses.
Why do you all decide to start your own business rather than work for a company? If that makes sense. Because I mean you are working for a company, but why do you decide to start your own business? Because I feel like in Japan, entrepreneurship is not so popular among young people, especially. Yeah, usually the entrepreneurs are all older. After they work a bit like Gaijin for like Gonen, Junen, then they start their own business. Yeah.
私は今までの人生がすごいこういう波乱万丈なんていう波乱万丈って
roller coaster.
ストーリーがすごいアップンダウンがすごいあってでお金がないからこのアップンダウンがあったんですね過去に。でお金持ちになったらこの問題全部なくなるってすごい信じてて、で一回、そのキャビンアテンダント CA になりたくてでそこからシンガポールに行っていろんなお金持ちと話した時にシンガポールいろんなお金持ちに会ってすごいインスパイアされて
シンガポール人ですか？
シンガポール人もいたし日本人のお金持ちもいっぱいいてお金持ちが集まる国だったから私にとってはすごい面白い経験。それが19歳の時でいろんな人と話してインスパイアされてなんかどっかで働くよりも自分で起業して会社やった方がお金持ちになれるかもしれないって思ってなんかビジネスやりたいかもって思ってたんですね。でその時はビキニのアイデアが初めてできたアイデアだったんだけど実際に大学に、その後日本に戻ってきてコロナがひどくなって通訳の仕事をし始めてなんか自分のできること通訳しかなかったからポルトガル語の通訳をしてたらそのソーシャルワーカーに私はなってで一回社会で働いてそしたらなんか社会で働くのもすごい良かったんだけど自分のできることが限られててもっとたくさんのことやりたいと思った。で私ができることってなんか私にしかできないこと絶対あるって思ってたからその時大学に入って今の大学なんだけどビジネス勉強し始めたら先生に何起業したいのって聞かれて日本語の先生かビキニかあと私19歳からずっとノート書いてますってその時2年ずっとノート書いてて、で話したらなんかどれが一番楽しいって言われてノート書いてる時間が一番楽しいけど、そう私のためのノートだから誰のためになるかわからないって言ったら先生が一回やってみたらいいじゃんって言ってくれて50人の人に6ヶ月無料であなたをコーチングしますって言ってすごい時間とコストがかかったんですけどその50人やってみたら半分の人が半年コーチング続けてくれてまたその半分がお金払ってやりたいって言ってくれて1年のお客さんになったり2年やってくれたりしてなんかそれが自然にビジネスに変わってった。最初はお金持ちになりたかったからだけど途中からなんか私の自分のためのノートが人のためになるんだって気づいてその自分の強みを生かす場所でもあるって気づけた。それで起業しました。
Dude, that's so inspiring. Yeah, it's a very organic way of starting a business. Very natural. Yeah, it's like just kind of. Yeah, and your sensei is so supportive. Yeah.
先生はすごいイケイケみたいな人だったからとりあえずやってダメだったら大丈夫若いからって言ってくれて分かったって言って信じてやった。
That's true. Just try because if you don't try, you never know how it's gonna be like, right?
Yeah. And you have nothing to lose when you're young.
That's true. So. Yeah, the sensei is very supportive.
Yeah.
いい先生。
Yeah. So, what advice would you have for young people who want to start, their own business or start their own project?
Advice. I need a time to think about.
若者に対してのメッセージ。
Yes.
さっき言ってたみたいにもう失うものはほとんどないと思ってほしい。子供がいたとしても今の若い年齢でいたとしてもいなくてもそのやらずに後悔よりもやった後悔って私は言っててその トライしてダメだった、でも1個学んだ、でトライしてダメだったからもう一回学んだことっていうのは次につながるけど、トライもせずにただやっとけばよかったって後悔するのは一生残るから、やっぱそうやって思ったら、迷ったら私は難しい方で楽しい方を選ぶようにしてほしいなって思います。
Nice, yeah. Try and try everything. Every experience that you fail, you learn something from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I think my advice is similar, but like one of the goals that I had when I went to UK to study was like I wanted to fail as much as I can.
Ooh,
Yes,
okay.
because I feel like successful people, they have a lot of failure. That means like they challenged a lot. So I wanted to challenge, and I wanted to, I mean, do you say challenge?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to challenge yourself.
I wanted to challenge, and I want to fail more to be a successful person. So I think it's okay to fail, but I want you to try,
Just try. And
just
start
try,
something,
just try.
Just do it よね。
Yeah.
That's true, because they always say that what you see is the success, right? But what you don't see, like the tip of the iceberg, which is the under, is always the failures first. Right? So if you don't try or you don't have the failures, then there's never going to be a success. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they want to listen more to your podcast, where can they find you guys?
Oh, podcast.
Yeah.
So if you search SUY on Apple Podcast or Spotify or any platform, I think you can find it. Or you can search Sui in katakana. And
your Instagram.
And Instagram as well. Let me see the name of the
カタ
account.
カナ
The Instagram name is SUY underscore official underscore 2022.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to follow us, you can find us at Passion Project JP on Instagram, TikTok.
And also Passion Project Japan on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and that's it, right?
YouTube.
YouTube.
Most important. So for this episode, probably you want to watch it on YouTube so that we can put all the jimaku. Yeah. So and if you want to hear us talk in Japanese, remember to go and check out Sui's podcast, and you can hear the part 2 of this, I guess, or part 1. Maybe this part 2. I don't know. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for joining
Thank
us
you so
on the
much.
podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.